Alright guys, so what's up? It's been a super long time since I did a video, and it's just been super crazy busy, and I'm not sure if you guys know, but before I used to be here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and decided that that was killing me, so I am now going home at a reasonable hour. So I haven't had much time to make videos. I've been trying to you know, enjoy being home and enjoy the holidays and enjoy everything else that's been going on. So it's been good, but it's been a long time since I talked to you guys, and kind of wanted to make a little bit different of a video today. Now, you guys see me working on these Jeeps constantly, repairing the frames and doing all sorts of other stuff. But what I wanted to kind of bring you guys into, and don't mind my microphone here is a little unruly at the moment, but what I kind of wanted to do in this video today is what you guys don't necessarily know about me is that I never drive brand new vehicles. I've had 2 brand new vehicles my entire life, and both times it was a stupid mistake. You lose a ton of money, and it's just not worth it unless you're leasing them and you're using them for business and yada yada. What I do is I find vehicles that need to be rescued. And by rescued, I mean vehicles that are in a state of disrepair to an extent that the average user, driver, whatever it may be, doesn't want to spend the money to fix them any longer. But obviously we have a lot of resources here at the shop, and I have a lot of knowledge, and we have the ability to buy parts and fix vehicles. So what I'm going to do today for you guys is I'm going to show you and give you a full cost breakdown of what you can do to build yourself a budget daily driver from basically a rescue vehicle. And we're sitting in my new to me 2006 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited. It's got the 4.7 V8 in it, full leather, heated seats, the whole nine. Now, we're going to give you the cost breakdown, and the first bit of the cost breakdown is the actual cost of the vehicle. So luckily, I had posted some stuff on Marketplace and got a couple of responses, and one of the responses was from a good friend of mine. And he said, hey, listen, my brother has an 06 Grand Cherokee, needs some work, it's got a massive water leak, but you can have it $750. So we paid $750 for what you see me sitting in right now. And I don't know, you might be able to see, but there's some staining up on the roof. And the number one first problem that we encountered with this vehicle was it was basically flooded. The driver's side had about 3 inches of water in it when we picked it up. That 3 inches of water was caused by this guy right here leaking into the vehicle. So that was fix number one. We had to get this thing dried out. We had to get it leak free. Turns out sunroof drains were plugged. Ran some compressed air, a little bit of water, and you know, a couple lengths of welding wire, and we cleaned the drains right out. Once we got the drains cleaned out, we solved the leak. So then from that point, we went to extracting all the water, drying out the carpets, pulling the seats out, and drying all that stuff out. So far, that cost us $0. It didn't cost us a single penny to fix that major problem, which was the main reason why he got rid of this vehicle in the first place, was due to the leak. Now, the second thing we wanted to look for was any kind of drivability issues. Now, luckily, when I bought this thing, it ran and drove perfectly fine. Or so I thought. Now, you have to expect surprises when you buy a $750 vehicle. So the next repair on the list was the rear drive shaft. On these Grand Cherokees, the rear drive shaft, the U-joints are not replaceable. You cannot replace them. They're pressed in. It's an aluminum shaft. They make kits that you can, whatever, but your best bet is to go to a junkyard and buy the part. So that's what I did. We paid $140, and I'm going to keep a running tally somewhere up here. But we paid $140 for that rear drive shaft, popped that in, drivetrain sorted. The vehicle had had new brakes put on it, had various other maintenance done to it, so we were pretty lucky, pretty good. Replaced the drive shaft, now the vehicle was drivable. So the next method of, or the next, the next repair that we decided to do on it was it actually had, and I'll take you guys outside with me real quick, the driver's side and passenger side door, or driver's side doors. That door and that door were hit. And you can see that they're pretty gnarly. You can't really see the driver's door, but the driver's door was also hit right there. So you can kind of see that that was hit. And also the front passenger fender was hit. So now we're getting into the cosmetics of things. So we went to a junkyard that I deal with on the regular, and we found a new front fender. Not new, but you know the deal. Passenger doors, or driver's side doors, front and rear. And we paid $350 for the fender and the two doors. So that solved that problem. Took doors off, normal hand tools, put doors on it. The next step on the outside cosmetics were headlights. You guys know these plastic headlights get nasty looking. They get yellowed, they get, opaque, they look horrible. So we decided to go onto eBay, buy a brand new set of headlights. Those were $110 for the pair. So not too shabby. And here's that passenger side fender. Now, we were lucky in the fact that there's a million of these things in the junkyard, and we were able to find the same color one, very local to us, and fix it very cheaply. All right, so on to the biggest purchase of this entire vehicle. Wheels and tires. Now, the factory wheels and tires that were on this Jeep are these guys right here. They are shot, like completely shot. The chrome is peeling off of some of the wheels. The tires were that one's pretty bad. So we decided to find some wheels and tires for it. So the wheels we ended up finding were from a 2015 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. Now, they're pretty rock rashed, but you can't tell from a distance until I bring you nice and close into the wheel. And then you can see that they're pretty well rock rashed, which no big deal. We're building a budget daily, so we spent $100. That's right, $100 on all 5 of these factory wheels. So we got 5 wheels for $100. The expensive part were these tires. We all like to skimp on tires because tires are stupid expensive, and it's just a hard purchase to make, and I don't know why that is. When you make a tire purchase, it is the most annoying thing in the world. At least for me it is anyway. I can't stand buying tires. But a good set of BFG all-terrains, the TA KO2s, those ran $1,200. So, little expensive. $1,200 for tires. And that pretty much concludes the outside of the vehicle. That was just trying to make it look presentable. It was perfectly functional the way it was before, with the exception of the door right in here, because when it got hit, it pushed the actual door outwards, so there was a little bit of an air noise coming in through here. But that wasn't too big of an issue. So most of the outside stuff was just cosmetics. Now, as far as the interior goes, this is where things get a little interesting with this vehicle. Now, remember, this thing was a flood victim. So there's a lot of stuff that we ended up having to replace when it came to electronics and controls and seats and all kinds of other stuff. So I'm going to go through and list all of that stuff that we did to bring that back to life. So the first major problem that I had with this thing was that the heater didn't work at all. The blower worked, but there was no heat coming out of any of the vents. Under further investigation, one of the blend doors had broken and one of the blend door motors was disconnected, so it was only blowing cold air. So we ended up doing was going on eBay and finding a blend door repair kit. I think we paid $16 for that. So I'll put that up in here. Paid $16 for that and a little bit of time, and we got that taken care of. So that was number one. We got the heat working. Next thing was I ran the scan tool on it and I found 117 codes. And they were things ranging from the heated seat module, the occupant classification module, the airbag module, driver's door module, passenger door module, the body control module, the TIPM, the final stage module. All those had codes in them. There was a ton of CAN bus codes. There was a ton of other stuff. And now, unfortunately, you do kind of need a decent scan tool to fix a lot of that stuff. But I'm sure, you know, if you're into cars, you've got a friend or a buddy or somebody who's got a pretty decent scan tool that can help you out. Now, one of the major issues that we had with this, and this is very, very strange to me because there was no water on this side but the passenger seat. So on these Grand Cherokees, the passenger seat has two modules underneath it. The occupant classification module, which is what's used to determine who is sitting in this seat, how heavy they are, what they weigh, what the airbag status is, and also determines driver's side with the seatbelt buckled and everything. So what it does is it classifies the occupants that are in the vehicle so that it knows how to properly deploy the airbags in case of an accident. That module was good. However, there are weight sensors underneath this seat. There are 4 of them, one at each corner. And when someone sits in the seat, it measures the weight of that person and calculates the airbag inflation rate when there's an accident, and also the self-tensioner on the seatbelt. All of that stuff was bad, including the heated seat module. So heated seat module was bad. It was causing all sorts of CAN bus codes. The occupant classification module was seeing all sorts of issues with the weight sensors in this particular seat. So truthfully, about 40 of the codes that were existent in this vehicle were because this seat at some point in time had been underwater and the 2 modules underneath it had seen some damage. So what we ended up doing is going to a junkyard again, a local junkyard, and we found, and the seat's dirty because my dog was on it after stepping in a puddle, but we found a full seat with the electronic modules, all the wiring, all the weight sensors, everything else for $145. Pop that seat in with the new modules, program the new modules, and we are good to go. That got rid of a good majority of the codes. So the next process was the radio. This had an older Kenwood that had been installed by someone prior. It was installed correctly. However, because this vehicle had been so wet, the module that controls all of the steering wheel stuff and everything else was damaged. That was also causing CAN bus codes. So we put a new radio in it. That was $340. We put a module in it that I had laying around, so that was zero cost. And then we did some rewiring and a few other things here and there and made it function. We put Sirius XM in it, which was $59. So I'll put that up there. And that concluded all the radio stuff. Now the next little bit was all the heater controls. So you can see there's still a panel missing here. We're currently redoing the buttons because all the buttons were faded and the bottom buttons are starting to fade as well. So we'll be doing those shortly too. But none of the light bulbs in these worked. So if I could show you guys, let's see, we'll turn off the light here and get you a little bit of a demonstration of what the lights look like. Okay, so none of these lights worked at all. Nothing. There were no lights on the bottom. There were no lights in the heater controls. There were no lights up at the top, which there still isn't because we're out doing the buttons. But that was a major issue with this thing. So tore that apart, bought some LEDs off of eBay for $23 was the total cost for all the LEDs. We used 5mm white LEDs in here, 3mm white LEDs in the bottom, and we're using 3mm white LEDs up top as well. So that was $22. That's what we spent on that. So that took care of this whole panel. Now the next step in fixing this was the mirror. The rear view mirror had actually fallen off the windshield and taken a piece of the windshield with it, and the mirror was missing. Now this mirror in the Grand Cherokees not only has the auto dimming feature, but on the back here is the auto headlight camera. So this will control the high beams, the automatic high beam control camera. Then behind that is the automatic windshield wipers. All of that stuff was disconnected. With all of that disconnected, again, it was causing quite a few trouble codes within the computer itself. So went on eBay, spent $42 on this mirror with the camera and everything else already in it, and popped it in, and we're good to go with the mirror. So that got rid of even more of our codes. Then we got into speakers. Because of all the water, the speakers in the front were completely shot. And now you can, oh wow, you can actually see through there. Now what we've got is we had a friend who had a set of Pioneer 6x9s just laying around doing nothing. So he said, hey, you want these? I said, yep, sure. So we put a set of Pioneer 6x9s in it, and that took care of that issue. So now we've got it to a point where we're literally almost zero codes. The only code left on this thing is that passenger side mirror. The heater circuit in it is bad, so we're going to have to replace that at some point. But now every single thing works. And aside from doing general maintenance, like we did an oil change, that was $30. We did a set of wipers, that was $30. Trying to think of what else. Just a lot of vacuuming and cleaning, and eventually we're going to get this thing fully detailed, which will be a couple $100, but phone's always ringing. So we're going to get it fully detailed, and that'll probably be a couple $100, but it's going to be something that'll be well worth it, especially since this thing has been so, so dirty in the past and so full of water. Luckily, it hadn't gotten to the stage where it was moldy yet. So that pretty much sums up everything that we did to this Jeep, except for the shift knob. I put a new shift knob in it because the other one was broken. And then, of course, like I said, we cleaned up all this stuff. I can't really think of anything else that I had to do mechanical-wise or electrical-wise that we haven't already gone over. But everything works now. So we basically just rescued this vehicle from the scrapyard. It was literally going on Marketplace to either be beat the crap out of wheeling vehicle, or it was going to go to the junkyard for scrap value. And ultimately we were able to save this thing and turn it into our daily driver. And now, if my calculations are correct, we'll put the final number down here, but if my calculations are correct, we're only into this thing for about $3,000 in total. And for $3,000, we got one of the most capable Grand Cherokees ever built. And I'm not sure if you guys know this. If you're a Jeep fan, you probably do. This Grand Cherokee Limited with the V8 in it has the QuadraDrive 2 four-wheel drive system. Now, that four-wheel drive system consists of an electronically controlled transfer case with a locking center differential, meaning that most of the power goes to the back wheels. I think it's a 52-48 split. When you get into a tough situation, it'll lock pure 50-50, and that's front to rear. Now, the other thing that this Jeep also has is it has an electronic limited slip differential or an electronic locker in the rear, and has an electronic locker in the front. So this is probably one of the most capable Grand Cherokees that was ever built, and to this day is ever built. This is the WK version 2005 to 2010. In 2011, the WK2 came out, and they nixed the front locker. They got rid of the front locker on the WK2s, so they're a little less capable than this generation. Now, body-wise, this generation's probably the ugliest of all the Grand Cherokees, with the exception of the 99 to 04s. But they a little bit better. The front end has independent suspension now instead of a solid front axle, which gives you better ride, better handling, all that other crap. So for $3,000 roughly, we have a good, reliable daily driver that we have been through every inch of, and we know every single piece of it. We know that things are not going to break. We know that things are not going to, you know, fall apart. Oh, I did remember one more maintenance thing. We put 2 coil packs in it, which were $45 a piece, so that's $90. And we put a set of 8 spark plugs in it, which I think was another $30, to solve a minor little misfire that we had under load. So that was the only real engine mechanical stuff that we had to do. So with that being said, you guys can do this too. You can go out and you can find friends or family or someone in your neighborhood or someone in your city that's got a vehicle that they're just fed up with. They've put tons and tons of money into it. And guys, here's the funny part about all this. Somebody will put so much money into a vehicle and then one more thing will go wrong and they will get rid of it. That is what I've seen over and over and over again. You guys have seen my BMW X5 that I have. That vehicle had over $20,000 in maintenance during its lifetime. It was perfectly maintained. One electrical problem forced the guy to sell it for $1,600. And I've been driving that for the last 3.5 years. One corroded wire made that guy sell that vehicle. But it had been maintained so well throughout its entire life that it was perfect when I got it, with the exception of that one problem. And that's the thing you need to look for. You find a vehicle that was well maintained, that had tons of parts replaced in it, and was given the best life, and then one more problem hits and the decision is made to get rid of the vehicle. They don't need it anymore. They don't want to put any money into it. It's too old, whatever it may be. You can pick it up super cheap, fix the 1 or 2 minor problems that it has, and you could potentially get 50 to 100,000 miles out of that vehicle, depending on how well it was taken care of. So if you happen to see a vehicle that's super cheap, inquire about it. You know, especially if it's, you know, something of the Grand Cherokee flavor, because these things can be had for no money. And in the stupid market that we're in right now, where pickup trucks are selling for 3 times their value, and, you know, used cars are going off the chart when it comes to pricing, and new cars are impossible to get, honestly, your best bet is to find a rescue. You know, go to the car pound and find a rescue. And, you could have something like this. And granted, I have a ton of resources that many of you may or may not have. I have a ton of knowledge that you guys can have no problem by watching YouTube videos. And you guys all have an O'Reilly's or an Advance or an AutoZone or something, or a junkyard near you that you can go to and get parts for your rig. You know, find something with some minor cosmetic damage that they want $1,000 for and go get some parts for it. You know, a lot of times, if it's a popular vehicle, you'll be able to find the same part that you need for that vehicle. There's just so many things that you can do, and me being a car guy, and some of you car guys may or may not understand this, but you know, when you see a vehicle that you like that is being either mistreated or left to rot or whatever it may be, it feels good to save that vehicle. It feels good to be able to bring that vehicle home, bring it back to life. And then if you happen to be friends with the previous owner, like I am, you can send him pictures and he can go, oh my God, that thing's never looked that good before. That's so cool what you did with it. It's nice to see it went to a good home. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You know, just a little something to say, hey, listen, you know, if you don't have a ton of money to play with and you want to have a good, reliable vehicle, and you're willing to put in the sweat equity and do the searching and the parts and the fixing and the cleaning and everything else, you can have yourselves a really good vehicle really cheap. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. We got another Jeep sitting in front of this Jeep that we have to start working on. Just got the frame parts in today. We've got some other stuff going on with the 240. I'll be doing a video on that pretty soon because we got the header built for it. And we got some motor mount modifications in the works, and we're going to be mounting the radiator and doing a bunch of other stuff. I know you guys want to see the 240Z stuff, so we'll be getting to that very shortly. And just there's a ton of other stuff going on. Shop's a disaster right now because we just got done, you know, resurrecting this Jeep so I could have the daily driver. Sold my pickup truck because I got 3 times what the damn thing was worth. And yeah, so that's where we stand right now. So stay tuned for the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed this little kind of talky video and just showing you whatever. I didn't film any of the actual work on it because truthfully it was just general maintenance stuff. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a great night. Shoot me some comments below. Shoot me a like. If you haven't subscribed and you're seeing this video, hit the subscribe button and we'll try to bring you some more stuff. So have a great night, everybody.